So what we have here today is a controller for Nintendo Switch. It also works on some other systems as well, so it's not just Nintendo Switch, but that's what I'm using it for mainly. And that's what it's intended for and marketed for. So this is by the company 8BitDo. So this is actually a full fight stick, arcade stick, whatever you want to call it, a joystick controller for your Switch. We'll check out all the things about this and everything that comes in the box, and then we'll do some side-by-side comparisons with some of my other fight sticks that I have across multiple generations of different video game consoles. So let's get started with the unboxing and the look at of 8BitDo's arcade stick. Yeah, on Hybrid Games.
You're playing with power. Now you're playing with power.
It's called the 8BitDo arcade stick. It works with the console's Nintendo Switch, which I'm probably going to use it for primarily for all those arcade games, the Super Nintendo and NES classics, some of the collections, and most of the fighting games. It also works on Windows, I'm assuming Windows 10. It works on Steam, so it might work on Mac if you're using Steam or something else using Steam. It also works on Raspberry Pi for you emulators out there and modders. So it contains, the contents are the arcade stick, a 2.4 gigahertz Bluetooth receiver, a cable, so I'm pretty sure you can plug it in and play with USB, and then the manual. So let's check out, this is what it looks like right there. It does have the 2.4 gig Bluetooth logo in the bottom corner. Oh, on the back, see, I haven't even looked at this yet. You've got a little more information about what it is and what all the buttons do. And like, basically there's a number next to each one, and it tells you what each one does. Okay, so let's open this up. Flip that tab. Oh, whoa, okay. We're gonna flip this around because it opens up differently than I expected. And it goes like this. Big 360 there. It's got a lot of cool stuff in this box. So I'm gonna tilt this up so you can see what I'm seeing. That's pretty cool. That's bigger than I expected. Even though the box is big, it's a pretty big controller. It's probably bigger than the arcade stick I currently own. So we gotta take this out carefully. It's one of those things where the foam's attached to the sides of the controller. Box is done. We're done with the box. Nothing else inside the box. Let's carefully take this out of here. These protective foam inserts. Save those for later in the box. I like to keep everything, not just with controllers, but with game consoles specifically. Like when I get my Nintendo Switch, I kept all the wires, I kept all the plastic, I kept all the little slidey thingies, twisty ties, manuals, everything. Just in case, and plus it's good for collectors too. So there was a couple things in this insert. There was the manual, and a USB cable, which is USB-C to USB maybe 3.0 or USB 2.0 maybe. Let you be the judge of that. I'm not the expert on USB, but it looks like it's USB-C on one end and USB 2.0. So, okay, we got the manual, we got the controller here. Let's just check out the controller real briefly because I want to see what it is like. See how it feels. Okay, first of all, this controller is, I'm not going to drop it because it's new, but it's got weight to it. I don't think it has metal, like a metal plate, like some of these have a metal plate on the bottom. It's not metal, it's hard plastic like your game consoles. But there could be there's something in it that's giving it definite weight. And it's pretty heavy compared to some of them that actually have a metal plate on the bottom. So here we go. Joystick has a click to it. Ball top. I'm assuming it's metal inside. I'm gonna lift up the thing and then see, but I'm pretty sure it's covered in a plastic coating or case. I don't know what you want to call it. All these buttons have these protective stickers on them, so I'm gonna take those off. Just keep them shiny while in packaging. and they are all red, and apparently it's easy to customize intentionally. So I have some other buttons from other controllers that I could swap them out with, but I'll probably just buy new ones when I do come to the point to customize it. New Sanwa ones. I actually bought some new ball top ones from my Ninja Turtles arcade cabinet, so like a ball top, or not top, but a joystick topper. So this is really shiny right here. It's like a shiny coat, so that's probably a lot of fingerprints. The buttons, they're not clicky buttons like an arcade in the United States, North America. They're like softer, harder pressing buttons. They feel, upon first touch and pressing, they feel like the same as another controller, which I'll show you later, which is the Tatsunoko vs. Capcom controller for Nintendo Wii. But more specifically, it's the basic, what's it called? It's like a basic Street Fighter Tournament Fighter controller. They feel like those. So if you played with like a basic, pretty much anything from like the Wii 360, PS3 and up, style, like Street Fighter brand controller that actually has like Street Fighter art on it and stuff, that's pretty much what they feel like. They're not exactly Sanwa as far as I can tell, but then again, I haven't used the Sanwa one at home yet, to be honest with you. There's more on these stickers. Now these buttons up here, the player 1 and player 2 buttons, they're a little bit smaller, just in case you can't tell. These ones are actually a little bit slightly smaller than your base buttons. So if you're going to replace these somehow, you're going to have to find some smaller buttons for those, because these are not the same size. Looking at the 8BitDo arcade stick, you can see that this black part is glossy near the buttons. It might get some fingerprints pretty quickly. You can see the gray part is matte, and the overall style is that of the original Nintendo NES Advantage controller, which was an arcade stick for the Nintendo NES back in the day. So it's cool that they kept this style, if you like that retro style, along for the Nintendo Switch in the current generation. Before I get into the manual, what we've got here is all our buttons here. Each of them correspond to A, B, X, Y, L, R, Z, L, Z, R. And then you've got player 1, player 2, which I'm not sure what those are. They could be start and select, they could be something else. We'll find that out in the manual. And you've got the thumbstick, which is for your movement controls. And just by the way, there is a selector on here that changes the control stick to the left thumbstick, the right thumbstick, or the D-pad, so you can use it on any game potentially. But I do want to point out that the Nintendo Switch itself had a firmware update sort of recently where you can change the controls and you can swap the sticks on any game just by default on the actual system settings. So look for that if you're confused about the swapping of the sticks, or if you get stuck in a video game like Super Smash Bros., for example. So since this is a Bluetooth controller, I'm assuming it'll just turn on if the battery is charged. We've got a switch right here, which you can change it to Nintendo Switch, off, or X input. X input is for your PC, Windows, and Steam games, and Nintendo Switch is of course for the Switch console itself. It looks like since it's Bluetooth, you can play it on undocked or docked if you want to. And if you want a better connection, you can just plug it in using this included USB cable. We'll get into the instructions in a little bit here in the manual, but there's also a pair button which allows you to sync it up to a wireless Bluetooth receiver, or maybe even the Nintendo Switch. I'm not sure if it's used for both. You've also got the turbo button, so there is a turbo feature with the star button. You've got the home button with a blue heart, which brings you back to the home menu on Steam or Nintendo Switch, or anything that you're using it on really. And then you've got an LED light right here, which I'm assuming is for... It shows 4 LED lights, so I'm assuming it's like your player position, like 1 to 4 on a controller, if you're playing with more than one player. You've got Bluetooth and 2.4 gigahertz connection, which I guess those are two different things. I'm not too familiar with Bluetooth and, you know, like, what the difference between that is between 2.4. But it does have both the Bluetooth and 2.4, and you can select them with the slider switch. Two different types of connection, I'm assuming. And then you've got the select button and the start button here, plus, minus, minus, plus. So I guess these are your start and select. So these are player 1 and player 2 are two different things. than the start and select. So I'm assuming those are for something else. These might be like a macro button or a customization button, I'm assuming. And then up here it says 2.4 gigahertz receiver, which if we can turn it around, you can see what it looks like right there. On the bottom of the console, there's a switch that opens up and you get the Bluetooth adapter. There's also inside that same port, there's a place to plug in your USB-C cable. So the USB-C cable plugs into here, so the C end goes in here, and the USB 2.0 or 3.0 goes out into your Switch dock. But then you've got the 8BitDo 2.4 GHz receiver, which allows you to receive the controller wirelessly. So you can play this wired with USB-C, or wireless with this adapter plugged in. And this adapter, I'm assuming, works on Switch and Windows. So before we end this video, I want to show you a side-by-side comparison of this and some other arcade sticks that I currently own. Some of these are for older consoles, some of them are more modern, or some of them might be third-party, some of them might be first-party. But they'll just give you a little bit of a side-by-side comparison of this arcade stick by 8BitDo and some of these classic ones. So here's one final thing that I'd like to add that I found out about this controller as soon as I plugged it in. And that is the button labels are actually lights. So these are all lights. When you switch it to Nintendo Switch mode, they show the Switch button names. And when you switch it over to X input, the lights change to your Xbox style controller buttons. So you have them in the BA, YX, and the X, Y, AB, and the R triggers are labeled differently than the Z triggers on the Nintendo version. Pretty cool. So if you have any questions or comments about this 8BitDo arcade stick, please leave them in the comment section below. I will reply and read those, and I'll do the best that I can to answer those questions. Because right now I don't know hardly anything about this controller in terms of how it plays with video games. I just know what I've seen in the box and the manual, so it'll take a little while. Some of those it might take a couple days for me to answer, but I'll do them to the best that I can. Alright everybody, thanks for watching today's Happy Beard Games video. We checked out and unboxed an arcade stick from 8BitDo, and it looks like a really cool arcade stick for Nintendo Switch and Steam and PC and Raspberry Pi. It seems like it has a lot of good wireless features as well as a nice wired feature. It has all the buttons you need, all the customization you need on the joystick and buttons and the layout of the controller, and it looks like a really cool one. I can't wait to check this one out today. Alright everybody, thanks for watching Hybrid Games. You can check me out on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, as well as right here on YouTube. Thanks for watching once again. Bye!